Meeting the forgotten one, Marcus Webb had always been the kind of guy who fixed things nobody else wanted to touch: broken vending machines, faulty atmospheric processors, and now apparently babysitting the station's most unwanted resident. The assignment came with a warning label longer than his engineering manual and a hazard pay bonus. That made him suspicious rather than grateful. Station Kepler 7 housed over 3,000 souls, but none of them went near Section Delta 9. That's where they kept her. The alien girl everyone whispered about in hushed tones during lunch breaks. Command called her Subject 47, but Marcus had seen her personnel file. Her real name was Zenara, and she'd been alone for 8 months. The security briefing had been thorough but unhelpful. Zenara belonged to a species called the Vorthok, known for their advanced technology and complete isolation from galactic politics. She'd arrived on a damaged scout ship, barely alive, speaking no known languages. The xenobiologists had poked and prodded her for weeks before declaring her cognitively unresponsive and essentially giving up. Marcus approached Section Delta 9 with his toolkit and a thermos of coffee that had seen better days. The corridor leading to her quarters was pristine, sterile, and completely devoid of human presence. Even the cleaning bots seemed to hurry through their rounds here. When the door hissed open, he found her sitting by the viewport, staring out at the stars. Zenara was tall and graceful, with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer under the artificial lights. Her hair was white as starlight, and her eyes held depths that reminded him of nebulae he'd seen in astronomy textbooks. She wore the standard issue station coveralls, but somehow made them look elegant. "Hey there," Marcus said, setting his toolkit down gently. "I'm Marcus. I'm here to fix your environmental controls." She turned to look at him, and for a moment, their eyes met. There was intelligence there, sharp and alert, nothing like the vacant stare the reports had described. She tilted her head slightly, studying him with curiosity rather than fear. Marcus began working on the wall panel, occasionally glancing her way. Unlike the other technicians who'd rushed through their tasks, he took his time, explaining what he was doing, as if she could understand. "This regulator controls your air mixture," he said. "Adjusting a component keeps the oxygen levels just right, though I suppose your species might prefer different atmospheric conditions." To his surprise, she moved closer, watching his hands work with obvious interest. When he reached for a tool that had rolled away, she picked it up and handed it to him. Their fingers brushed, and Marcus felt a strange tingling sensation, like static electricity, but warmer. "Thanks," he said, smiling. She didn't smile back, but something in her posture seemed to relax. For the next hour, they worked in companionable silence. Marcus fixed the environmental system, the lighting array, and even the food dispenser that had been acting up. Zenara observed everything, occasionally helping by holding tools or pointing to components that seemed out of place. When he finished, Marcus packed his tools slowly, reluctant to leave. There was something about her presence that felt calming, almost familiar. "I'll be back tomorrow," he said at the door. "The main processor needs recalibration." As the door closed behind him, Marcus could have sworn he heard her whisper something in response. First words next morning, Marcus arrived at Section Delta 9 with more than just tools. He'd brought a small tablet loaded with basic language programs and a genuine curiosity about the girl everyone had written off. The night before, he'd spent hours reading about the Vorthok, learning what little was known about their culture and capabilities. Zenara was waiting for him, seated at the small table in her quarters. She looked up as he entered, and Marcus noticed something different in her expression. Where before there had been cautious observation, now there was something that looked almost like anticipation. "Good morning," Marcus said, settling his equipment down. "I brought something for you." He activated the tablet, showing her the language interface, simple pictures paired with words, basic communication tools that had been developed for first contact scenarios. Zenara leaned forward, her eyes brightening with interest. Marcus pointed to the picture of water, then said the word aloud, "Water." He repeated it several times, then gestured to her encouragingly. "Vatur," she said, her voice melodic but uncertain. The pronunciation was off, but the attempt was clear, close. Marcus grinned. water. The W sound is softer. For the next 2 hours, they worked through basic vocabulary. Zenara was a quick learner, absorbing new words with remarkable speed. But it was when Marcus started explaining the concepts behind the words that things became truly interesting. "This is a wrench," he said, holding up the tool. "We use it to turn bolts, to fix things." "Fix," Zenara repeated, then surprised him by adding, "Make." "Better, exactly." Marcus's excitement was genuine. "You understand the concept, not just the word." Zenara nodded, then pointed to herself. "I fix. You want to help fix things?" Marcus asked. She nodded eagerly, then moved to the environmental panel he'd worked on the day before. With delicate fingers, she pointed to a section he'd missed, a small coupling that was slightly loose. Marcus checked it and found she was right. "How did you know that?" he asked, impressed. Zenara struggled with the words, then placed a hand on the wall. She closed her eyes for a moment, concentrating. "Feel, wrong, sound, not right." Marcus stared at her in amazement. "You can sense mechanical problems." "Yes," she said. The word coming easier now. "Ship, broken. I fix, always fix." The pieces began falling into place. The reports had mentioned that her scout ship had suffered massive damage, but had somehow managed to make it to the station. If Zenara could sense mechanical problems, she might have been the one keeping her ship together during the journey. "Your ship," Marcus said carefully. "You were the engineer." Zenara nodded. Then her expression grew sad. "Ship, gone. Friends, gone. Only me." Marcus felt a pang of sympathy. She wasn't just an alien specimen to be studied. She was a survivor. Someone who'd lost everything and been stranded among strangers, who couldn't even communicate with her. "I'm sorry," he said softly, "but you're not alone now. I'm here." Zenara looked at him with those deep, nebula-like eyes, and for the first time since he'd met her, she smiled. It was a small, tentative expression, but it transformed her entire face. "Marcus," she said, carefully pronouncing his name. "Friend." "Yes." Marcus replied without hesitation. "Friend." The rest of the day passed quickly as they continued their language lessons. Zenara's progress was remarkable, and Marcus found himself genuinely enjoying her company. She had a quick wit and a curious nature that reminded him why he'd become an engineer in the first place. As he prepared to leave, Zenara touched his arm gently. "Thank you," she said in clear, careful English. "First, kindness." Marcus felt something shift in his chest, a protective instinct he'd never experienced before. "I'll see you tomorrow," he promised, walking back through the station corridors. Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just changed direction. The alien girl everyone avoided had chosen to trust him, and he wasn't about to let her down. Hidden talents 2 weeks into their daily sessions, Marcus had become Zenara's unofficial advocate and protector. Her English had improved dramatically, and she'd begun sharing stories about her people and their technology. What she revealed made Marcus realized why Command wanted her kept isolated. "My people," Zenara explained as they worked together on a stubborn power coupling. "We see patterns others cannot. Energy flows, system harmonics, the songs of machines." "Songs?" Marcus asked. Pausing in his work, Zenara placed her hand on the station's wall, her eyes closing in concentration. "Everything vibrates, Marcus. Metal, electronics, life itself. Each has its own frequency, its own voice. When I touch your machines, I hear their songs." To demonstrate, she guided his hand to join hers on the wall. At first, Marcus felt nothing but cold metal. Then, gradually, he became aware of a subtle vibration, a rhythm that seemed to pulse through the station's structure. "The heart of your station," Zenara said softly. "It beats like a living thing. But there are discord notes, problems your sensors cannot detect." Marcus pulled his hand away, stunned. "You're telling me you can diagnose the entire station just by touching it?" "Not just diagnose," Zenara replied. "I can heal it. My people call it the resonance touch. We fix things by harmonizing their frequencies." This revelation sent chills down Marcus's spine. If Zenara could detect and repair problems at such a fundamental level, her abilities were beyond anything human technology could achieve. No wonder Command wanted her contained. "Zenara, He said carefully, "Have you told anyone else about this?" She shook her head. "They do not listen. They see me as broken thing, not person. Only you see me." Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. "We need to be careful. If the wrong people find out what you can do, they will use me," Zenara finished. "Make me fix their weapons, their war machines. This is why my people stay hidden, why they sent me away when I was discovered." "Discovered doing what?" Zenara's expression grew sad. "I tried to help a damaged human ship. Your people were dying, and I could heal their vessel. But helping humans was forbidden. The council said I was contaminated by alien influence." Marcus stared at her in disbelief. "They exiled you for saving human lives." "Yes. They gave me a small ship and sent me into the void. I was to find my own path, away from our worlds." She looked at him with those deep eyes. "I think my path led me to you." Before Marcus could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights bathed the corridor in red as automated voices announced a critical system failure in the main reactor core. "Radiation containment breach in progress," the voice repeated. "All personnel evacuate to safe zones immediately." Marcus grabbed his emergency kit, his mind racing. The main reactor was the station's heart, and if it failed completely, everyone on board would die, even if they could evacuate. There weren't enough ships to carry 3,000 people to safety. "Marcus," Zenara said, touching his arm, "I can fix this. It's too dangerous." He replied, "The radiation levels near the reactor core would kill you in minutes. Not if I work quickly." She insisted, "I can hear the reactor's song from here. It is screaming in pain, but I know how to make it sing properly again." Marcus looked at her determined face and made a decision that would change both their lives forever. "Then we go together." They ran through corridors filled with panicking civilians and emergency personnel. The radiation detectors on Marcus's belt clicked frantically as they approached the reactor section. By the time they reached the sealed blast doors, the readings were already dangerous. "You don't have to do this," Marcus said, his hand on the door controls. "Yes, I do," Zenara replied. "This is who I am. This is what I was meant to do." Marcus opened the blast doors, and together they stepped into the heart of the dying station. The reactor core loomed before them, its containment fields flickering unstable. Warning lights painted everything in hellish red, and the air itself seemed to buzz with lethal energy. Zenara approached the main control console, her hands steady despite the mortal danger. "Stay back," she told Marcus. "Let me work." She placed her palms on the reactor's primary interface, and immediately her body began to glow with a soft, silvery light. The station's emergency klaxons seemed to quiet as she worked, replaced by a strange harmony that Marcus could feel in his bones. "I hear you," Zenara whispered to the machine. "I understand your pain. Let me help you sing again." The harmonic Helarth reactor core pulsed with dying light as Zenara worked her impossible magic. Marcus watched in awe as her hands moved across the control surfaces, not pressing buttons or adjusting dials, but somehow communing with the massive fusion reactor as if it were a living thing in pain. "The antimatter containment field is collapsing," Marcus called out, reading the emergency displays. "We have maybe 3 minutes before total breach." Zenara didn't respond with words. Instead, the silvery glow around her intensified, and Marcus felt the station's vibrations begin to change. The chaotic, discordant hum of failing systems slowly began to resolve into something more harmonious. "I can feel it," she said, her voice distant and concentrated. "The magnetic bottles are singing off-key. The plasma conduits are crying out in frequencies that hurt to hear. But underneath it all, there's still the original song." Marcus monitored the radiation levels, his heart pounding as the numbers climbed. "Dangerously high, Zenara. Your body can't take much more of this." "Almost there," she whispered. "I can hear the harmony now, the way it was meant to be." The glow around her hands intensified, and suddenly the reactor core's chaotic flickering stabilized. The containment fields snapped back into perfect alignment, and the radiation readings began to drop. But the effort was taking its toll. Zenara swayed on her feet, her silvery skin growing pale. "Done," she gasped, collapsing to her knees. Marcus caught her as she fell, feeling the heat radiating from her body. "You did it," he said in amazement. "You actually did it." The station's emergency systems began cycling back to normal, the red alert lights fading to amber and then to green throughout Kepler-7. 3,000 people were breathing easier, unaware that their lives had just been saved by the alien girl they'd all avoided. "We need to get you to medical," Marcus said, helping Zenara to her feet. "No," she said weakly but firmly. "No doctors. They will want to study what I did. They will want to use me." Marcus understood. If Command learned the true extent of Zenara's abilities, she'd never see freedom again. She'd become a tool, a living repair system to be deployed wherever humanity needed her. "Then we need to get you somewhere safe," he said. They made their way back through the station, avoiding the main corridors where emergency teams were still rushing about. Marcus used his engineering access codes to guide them through maintenance tunnels and service passages, paths he'd memorized during his years aboard Kepler-7. When they finally reached Section Delta 9, Zenara was barely conscious. Marcus helped her to her bed, noting how her skin still held traces of that otherworldly glow. "Why did you save them?" he asked quietly. "These people who fear you, who keep you locked away." Zenara opened her eyes, focusing on his face with obvious effort. "Because you are among them," she said simply. "And because it is who I am. My people may have cast me out, but they could not change my nature." Marcus felt something profound shift in his chest. This incredible being, with abilities beyond human comprehension, had risked her life not for glory or recognition, but simply because it was the right thing to do. "The station authorities will want answers," he said. "The reactor failure, the sudden repair, the radiation readings. They'll investigate." "Let them investigate," Zenara replied, her strength slowly returning. "They will find evidence of a miraculous technical solution, perfectly within the bounds of known engineering." "You are very good at making impossible things seem ordinary," Marcus smiled despite their dangerous situation. "You want me to cover for you." "I want you to protect me," she said, reaching for his hand, "as I protected your people today. We are partners now, you and I. Your knowledge of human systems, my ability to heal them, together. We can do great things." The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Marcus understood the implications of what she was suggesting. They would be secretly working together, using her abilities to prevent disasters while keeping her existence hidden from those who would exploit her. "It's dangerous," he said. "If we're caught, then we face the consequences together," Zenara replied. "I am tired of being alone, Marcus. I am tired of hiding what I am, with you. I can be myself while still helping others." Marcus squeezed her hand gently. "All right," he said. Partners. Outside, the station hummed with renewed life, its systems singing in perfect harmony thanks to the touch of an alien girl who had been cast out by her own people for the crime of compassion. In the days to come, Marcus would file reports explaining the reactor incident as a rare but documented harmonic resonance cascade that had mysteriously self-corrected. But in the quiet of Section Delta 9, two unlikely allies began planning how they could save humanity from disasters it didn't even know were coming, one perfect song at a time. A new song begins. 3 months had passed since the reactor incident, and Marcus had become a master of creative engineering reports. Every time Zenara secretly fixed a critical system, he found ways to explain the miraculous repairs through obscure technical phenomena and unlikely equipment malfunctions. His reputation as the station's miracle worker was growing, while the real miracle worker remained hidden in Section Delta-9. Their partnership had evolved into something deeper than either had expected. Marcus found himself looking forward to their daily sessions, not just for the incredible things Zenara could accomplish, but for her company. She had a way of seeing the universe that challenged his human perspective, making him question assumptions he'd held his entire life. "Your people are remarkable," Zenara said one evening as they worked together on a delicate sensor ray. "You create beauty from chaos, order from destruction. My people seek perfection, but you embrace imperfection and make it stronger." "We're stubborn," Marcus replied, adjusting a component while she monitored the harmonic frequencies. "Sometimes that's a strength," Sometimes it's a weakness. Today, it is a strength, she said, her hand glowing softly as she fine-tuned the array's resonance. I have been monitoring long-range communications. There are reports of system failures across human space, ships losing power, stations going dark, colonies reporting equipment breakdowns. Marcus paused in his work. Coordinated sabotage, no, Zanara said, her expression troubled. Something else. The failures all share a common signature, a discordant frequency that I recognize. From where? From my homeworld. Before I was exiled, there were rumors of a faction that believed alien contact was a contamination that needed to be purged. They called themselves the Harmonists, and they developed weapons designed to disrupt the technological harmony of other species. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. You think they're targeting human technology? I think they followed me here, Zanara said quietly. My exile was meant to be permanent, but if they detected my use of the resonance touch, they might have traced the signatures back to this station. Before Marcus could respond, the station's communication system crackled to life with an incoming transmission. But instead of words, a haunting tone filled the air, a sound that seemed to vibrate in their bones and make their teeth ache. Harmonic weapon, Zanara gasped, covering her ears. They are here, throughout the station. Systems began failing in cascade. Life support fluctuated, artificial gravity wavered, and the lights flickered in rhythmic patterns that hurt to watch. But unlike previous emergencies, this was clearly deliberate, targeted, and hostile. Can you counter it? Marcus asked, fighting through the disorienting effects of the alien song. Not alone, Zanara replied. Their harmony is too strong, too focused. But with your knowledge of human systems and my abilities combined, she reached for him. And when their hands touched, Marcus felt the now familiar tingle of her power flowing through him. But this time, it was different. Instead of just observing her work, he could sense the station's systems as she did, feel their electronic heartbeats and digital dreams. Together, Zanara said, her voice echoing strangely in the shared consciousness they'd created. We can sing louder than they can. They moved through the station's systems not physically, but harmonically, their combined awareness touching every circuit, every processor, every power coupling. Marcus provided the technical knowledge while Zanara provided the harmonic sensitivity. And together they began to build a counter-song. It started small, just a whisper of defiance in the communication arrays. But as they worked together, their harmony grew stronger, more complex, more beautiful. The station's systems began to sing back, their combined voices drowning out the discordant weapon that had threatened to tear them apart. The hostile transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by silence and then by the healthy hum of fully functional station systems. But Marcus and Zanara remained connected, their consciousness intertwined in ways that transcended species boundaries. We did it, Marcus said, though he wasn't sure if he spoke aloud or just thought it. We did more than that, Zanara replied, her mental voice filled with wonder. We created something new, a harmony between human and Vorthok, between logic and intuition, between us, Marcus finished. When they finally separated, both were exhausted but exhilarated. They had not only saved the station, but had discovered that their partnership was capable of things neither species had achieved alone. The Harmonists will return, Zanara said. They will not give up easily. Then we'll be ready for them, Marcus replied. All of us, human and Vorthok, working together. Zanara smiled, and in that expression, Marcus saw not just the alien girl everyone had avoided, but the future itself, a future where differences were strengths, where harmony meant not uniformity, but the beautiful complexity of different voices. Singing together, I choose you, she said softly, echoing the words that had started their journey together. I choose us. Outside, the stars waited, holding both threats and promises. But inside Section Delta 9, two souls from different worlds had found a song worth singing together, a harmony that would echo across the galaxy and prove that sometimes the most beautiful music comes from the most unlikely partnerships. Their story was just beginning, and the universe was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to find family among the stars.